Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Favorite Guitar Solos. Today we have a very special guest. First time on the show, although I've been on his show a few times. We got Mr. Guitar Hack from the Guitar Hack YouTube channel. What's going on, Hack? How are you tonight?
I'm doing all right, Pete. How are you, man?
Doing good, doing good. You ready to talk some Ace Frehley?
I'm always ready to talk. I got my Ace gear on. I'm ready to go.
We're both sporting the Aceisms here, so
Yeah,
ready to go. We got the Les Pauls out. We got
that's
the smoke coming out of the pickups. We're good to go.
I got the 3 pickup Les Paul, which I always thought looks a little bit Spinal Tappy for me. But give me 2 pickups. 3's one too many. But
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? That was what Ace was all about, right?
that's it. Yeah,
Ace
2 of
like
them
doing
never
things
worked.
So what generally how we work on this show is we each pick our 10 favorite guitar solos from the guy in question. Today it happens to be Ace Frehley. Also, if you got a couple honorable mentions at the end, we can throw them out too.
Oh yeah, I got a few.
We'll start off at our number 10 and we'll go to our number 1. I will say, my order is not like anything set in stone. I think these are my favorite 10 guitar solos. The order could change up any day. Now, I think maybe the top couple deserve to be up there. The rest of them are all really good. And as Hack and I were talking about before we, went on the air, it's like, Ace's solos are different from a lot of other like great guitar players of like this similar era, right? I think well-constructed little mini epics within these older Kiss classics. He kind of got away from that as the end of the 70s and into the 80s wore on, but he always kind of threw these little tricks and things that he did. He kind of reused a lot of the same little techniques that he was so known for a lot, and he did it really well. But I think his solos, especially early on, were just perfect for the songs. They didn't overstep their bounds. He was not the kind of guy to do like a 45, 50-second solo, right? What he could say in 20 to 30 seconds, say it well and get back. I think that's what he was so good at.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of
they were the highlights of the songs. I mean, you listen to the song, it's like, okay, here it comes, boom. And it's like a song within a song. It was always composed really, really well. He had amazing feel. His note choice, I mean, he's basically playing pentatonic scales. That's pretty much, but he just knew how to do it. He knew how to place his notes, and it was the highlight of a lot of early Kiss songs for me anyway. So
yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to have Hack kick us off with his number 10.
All right. Well, we also were talking off air that kind of we both think his golden era was sort of while he was with Kiss, but my number 10 is when he was on his own, and this is off of Trouble Walking. And for number 10, I picked Stranger in a Strange Land. That's one of the few solos later on that still kind of had a little bit of a flow to it. And what was cool about that song, and I really like the songs, where they kind of build up to the solo, they kind of set it up. And that was one of those types of songs. And I think it's a pretty good solo. It sounds, it flows, it's got his little licks in it, but it kind of, it flows nicely.
Well, it's melodic like all the stuff that he's always done, right?
Right.
You could always count on Ace to be very melodic, which is
yeah.
So my number 10, I'm going to go all the way back to the Alive album, which I think I'm going to revisit a few times here in this list. But I'm going to go with the solo to Firehouse.
Oh yeah.
Which, not a very long solo, but it's one of the things I always loved about Ace's solos, especially back in the old days, that he always what do you call that, right? I mean, I always call it the plink plink notes, right? Because that's all it sounds like.
That's and I mean, I play guitar, and that's a technique I can never get that down. It's like you hit the note and you choke it right away, and it's it's a really cool technique.
You know what, the choke note, that's even better than the plink plink note that I call it.
Yeah.
And he does that so well.
Oh
and
man,
nobody does it like that, right?
Yeah, it's really hard to do, and he does it on bent notes too. I'm like, how the hell are you doing that? It's crazy. Yeah,
it sounds like he's doing a lot more than he actually is, but sometimes economical is okay. I mean, like look at like Paul Kossoff from Free, right? I mean, the late Paul Kossoff, he was another guy, man, said so much with just a few notes. I think Ace always did the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, back to you for number 9.
Okay, so for number 9, this is off a deep cut. You're gonna find there's probably a few deep cuts in here. This is off of the Love Gun record. I love this song. I wish they'd done it live. Got Love for Sale. I love the solo in that. I mean, it's it's got all the compositional thing. It's the highlight of the song. I mean, it's a great song, but it's just as soon as the A solo comes in, he just puts it into that higher gear, and yeah, I think it's a really and his tone on that record for his leads, I think is just fantastic, and that's Eddie Kramer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arguably, some of his best playing is on that album.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I mean,
for
that was
sure.
probably like for him, probably the height of his guitar hero status, I think. And that the production of that album was so fantastic. And again, all those solos on all those songs on that album perfectly nestled in those tunes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they set him up, eh? They always set him up. Guitar, and then he goes into it. I love that. I love that. I still you love guitar. There he
Yep.
is. I love that.
It's like, thank you, Paul. I will certainly
Yeah,
do.
I will deliver.
All right, my number 9. I'm going to go to the Ace Frehley solo album for a song called Snowblind.
Oh yeah,
Cool rockin' tune. I think the solo is kind of bluesy, but he does, and he did this a lot. He does these kind of speedy but repetitive runs where he just kind of repeats these little passages over and over again. Really, really effective, and I think it works really, really well in that particular song. And I think one of my favorite songs on the album, and definitely a very, very cool solo. I think very memorable.
yeah. What's cool about that song and that solo is they change the tempo and they speed it up, and
Yep.
then it's like they're setting the platform for Ace to play his lead. And yeah, and there's a lick there, like, oh my god, that is so cool. uh, uh, he's always had that great feel tone thing. That's one thing too. He's got that. I mean, you can play his parts because they're not crazy difficult, but to make it sound like him, that's I don't know. He's got something in those fingers. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think we're both Les Paul players, and I think there's something about the tone of a Les Paul
Yeah, well,
that I think
yeah,
is endearing anyway, right? And in his hands, obviously, he's always you think of famous Les Paul players. I mean, Ace is definitely one of the 3, 4, or 5 that you think of.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So for my number, we're at number 8. Yeah, my number 8. This is off a Rock and Roll Over, and he rips on this. This is Making Love, that solo.
That's a good choice. Yep.
He plays his freaking ass off on that. And if you listen to the live versions, he kind of gets there, and then he cheats a little bit. But in the studio, man, that's shredding Ace pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, that's a great solo, and again, a great song and
Yeah.
great album.
Yeah. Somehow I missed that one. That's bad Pete. Bad Pete.
Well, you mentioned Snowblind, and first thing I'm thinking is like, shit, why didn't I? But no, that's a great solo.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good ones.
Oh,
It'd be interesting, like, and maybe someone who has the time to do something like this, to take all these solos and kind of edit them all together, and you get like a nice, like, 15-minute long song. How cool would that be, right?
yeah, yeah, a montage of a bunch of solos. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty cool.
All right, my number 8. I'm gonna go back to the Alive album. Watching You.
Oh yeah,
Again, he's doing those kind of real hard pick notes. He's doing the little slides and these little flutters and pull offs. I mean, that solo, again, economical, not that long, but he's doing all these kind of cool little things. Again, like you said, none which are that difficult, but the fact that he's doing them all in succession and throwing all this variety in there, very, very cool. And I think one of the things I love about the Alive album is, like, all these solos are great on the studio albums too, but he adds like these little extra things on the live album, which I think even elevate them to like another.
yeah,
So yeah, that's my number 8. Another cool solo.
yeah. That was good. That was good. For my number 7, this is off his 78 solo record. I'm in Need of Love. That's again a great song, a great solo. I mean, yeah. I think that's probably off of that. That's probably my favorite off of that record.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of good, really good ones on that album.
Oh
It's,
man.
it's amazing how like great that album still sounds today. You put that album on, it's just like pristine from start to finish.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, and the interplay, like is it Rip It Out or Spin Back to My Baby, that interplay with Anton Fig on the drums, and he'd do a thing and Ace would do something. Holy shit. Like, that's just a great record, man. Just a great record.
And speaking about like the back and forth between the guitar and the drums, how about my number 7 choice, Parasite?
Oh,
The live record, right? You know, Peter does that little drum
yeah.
solo, and then they move into Ace's solo, and then they go back and forth a little bit. Yeah, amazing, amazing stuff that they would do. They did that on that record. All the live stuff they ever did, they would throw some of that stuff in there, which is really cool. And again, another quick solo, but it works so well because you know, plays off that great riff, and then the drums, and then the solo, the back and forth between Peter and Ace. Really, really cool way to end that song.
Yeah, back then Peter had a little bit of Ringo Starr in that some of his parts were like part of the song. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, Parasite is one of those for sure, and that is a great Ace lead for sure. What do we got here? Oh, this one is killer. Number 6, Love Her All I Can. Man, he does that thing, and I did a video a long time ago, like my 5 favorite Kiss Ace solos a long time ago. Anyway, and it's like that stretching thing where like pull offs and stretches, and it's so melodic sounding, and it just sounds so cool when he does that bit. But then he throws in a bunch of fills throughout the whole record or the whole song. Yeah, it just totally crushes that song, man.
Good choice. Another good choice. There's so many good ones. I mean, we could have
Oh
done like a
man,
list of like 40, right?
yeah. Everything off everything from just go everything from Kiss right up till Unmasked.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right, my next choice. I almost picked the studio version, but then we went and listened to the live version, and the live version is just, I think, a little bit better. Love Gun is my number 6 from Alive, the second live album, and I just love. It's cool because it's a solo in like 2 parts. You know, you get the first part, and then he goes and rips into this real, like, kind of like emotional stuff, kind of bluesy stuff. You got the little squeals and the quick pick runs. I mean, it just really, really memorable solo. You
yeah,
can go with either one because you know, he plays it so similar on the live album that he does to the studio version, but he throws a couple little things different in here and there. But regardless, it's a very well constructed little mini story within the bigger song, right?
yeah.
And I think
Like,
that's
I
what's
mean,
important to.
Love Gun wouldn't be Love Gun without that. That makes the song. I mean,
I mean, it's just great. And then back to the
yeah,
again. It's just like it's this perfect little interlude in between all the big bombast that is the song itself.
right. Yeah, totally, totally. Okay, this one. Oh man, Calling Dr. Love.
Yeah, yeah.
That first note, and it just howls, and all he's doing is think he's bending like a G on the 3rd fret on the low E, just, and then oh man, it's like holy shit, like oh my god, like to this day that solo still blows me away. I mean, who would come up with that? It's so appropriate for the vibe of the song, you know what I mean? And it's just that the first note, I'm God, that's it. Okay, I'm sold. And then everything else after that. I always love that solo so much. Calling Dark. And
The rest of it's so in the pocket too. You know, I mean, it's like he's just like casually throwing that stuff out there.
Yeah. And I didn't specify live or because it's the same solo, right? I could say studio version, I guess, because maybe it sounded a little cleaner, but oh man, just fantastic. Again, it makes the song. It makes that song, you know. Yep, Calling Dr. Love.
Yep, good choice. My number 5, how about She?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, here I think he throws out all the kind of Ace Frehley trademarks in this solo. I mean, he's got all the bends, a lot of bends, right? Got the pull-offs, you got those little kind of quick flutters and notes, the hammer-ons, the pull-offs. I mean, it's everything about Ace Frehley is in that solo. And it's also one of my favorite Kiss songs as well. So you know, gotta have a great solo and a great song, and you get both in that.
Well, he re-recorded. We were talking off air about the Origins, the latest Origins, and he re-recorded that song.
Yep.
It's not him singing. I don't even know who's singing it, but yeah, it's on the recent record.
And ironically, and not surprisingly, that's the best song on his New Origins Volume 2 album.
Yeah,
it better be, right?
Yeah, he's redoing himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, this one is probably is going to strike most people out of left field, but this is just a beautifully placed solo, super melodic, and it just suits the song. My number four is "Going Blind" off of "Hotter Than Hell."
Oh, great choice. Yeah, that's a
Oh
really
man,
good choice. Yeah.
that solo is just so beautiful, and it's just very slow, and the vibrato, one, down, down, and down, and down, 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 do 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 do. I mean, like, you can sing it. I mean, that's how good it is. Yeah, it's just, man, it's just perfect for the song. It's Ace being super, like, at his melodic best. Is that song? Yeah,
And such an underrated song as it is, right? Like it's like the forgotten track off of that album.
yeah. They rediscovered it when they started doing the Unmasked, and they brought it out again. They're like, it was actually pretty good. And then they kept playing it and playing it. Yeah, it's a great tune. I always loved "Going Blind."
That's a great, great choice. I
Yeah.
commend you for throwing that in there. I was looking over the that album, and I remember looking at that. I'm like, yeah, that's a good one too. And then I just kind of kept moving on, right? And I should have gone back to it. Yeah, good choice. My number four. How about one of those great studio tracks on the Alive 2 album, Rocket Ride?
Oh shit, yeah.
Cool for one of the reasons why I like it so much is so it's got Ace just kicking ass on a wah wah pedal, which didn't really hear him do a hell of a lot in Kiss, and I think he just totally throws that in there in the beginning. Then you got all those dramatic hammer-ons and pull-offs, and I think it's a killer song with a great lick, great solo, vocals are kick ass. I mean that song is like prime Ace, and that to me always should have been like a big Kiss attraction, that song. And unfortunately never really was. Again, it's one of those kind of like all those studio tracks kind of forgotten on that album.
Yeah.
Actually, a bunch of really good ones.
Yeah, like, why wouldn't they do Rocket Ride live? Why wouldn't they do that live? Why
No,
would they do All American Man? I mean,
no idea. Yep.
I don't know, a lot of songs that didn't see the light of day, unfortunately.
Yeah.
For my number three, this is a kind of a no-brainer, but for number three, I picked Deuce. I mean, that's quintessential Ace, and that is the song that he first played with them when he auditioned for them, and they said, "Okay, we're gonna play this thing, and it's an A." And he said it, and he basically just played every lick he knew, and he got the gig. So, so I know Deuce for him was a special tune, and yeah, that solo in Deuce is fantastic. I mean, even the tag out, right? You
Yeah.
know, oh man, it's just great. And here's another thing about Ace that, I mean, on a Les Paul, you've got that massive heel joint, and he can get his hand up there, and he can do like the, crazy bends and just that pull off thing up there, just, and I don't know how the hell he does it, because that heel joint's right in your way. I mean,
It's yeah, and that neck is thick down there at the bottom, right?
yeah,
Yep.
man, I don't know, but he pulls it off, and he makes it sound so smooth. Yeah, but yeah, Deuce for me is number three.
Yeah. More about that in a minute. My number three could be number one for a lot of people. I'm going to go with Shock Me off the Alive 2 album. I mean, that's like, and especially from the live album, is kind of like Ace's kind of eruption, so to speak, I guess,
Big
right?
time.
This is big tour de force. Not only is the main solo great, then he's all by himself at the end. He's doing all this, crazy stuff, and all the thing with the picks, and and then that's when the smoke comes out of the pickups and the whole nine yards. But it's classic. It's Ace. It's a great song. This, Shock Me was kind of like Ace Frehley's big coming out party. It's like,
Mhm.
here's the first time we're going to let him sing on an album. We're going to let him play a little bit of a longer solo here, and then, live, that's your moment to shine. So
Yeah.
you had to be in my top three somewhere. I think I like the other two just a little bit better. But Shock Me is classic for a reason.
Okay. Well, guess what my number two is? Shock Me off a Kiss Alive.
There you go.
All the
Gotta be
same
right.
reasons. I mean, that's Ace's calling card. That's it. I mean, and it's a really good solo, and it's really well constructed. And I like the live version just because it just sounds so raw. You know what I mean? And it's just, if and that clip, just that live clip of him playing that solo is just, it's so ingrained in my brain from when I was a kid. It's just, that's what makes you want to play guitar, and that's what makes you want to play a Les Paul guitar. Just
Yeah.
listening to that solo, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all there. It's all there. And then he's doing the the tapping with the side of the pick, right? And he's moving it up and down. Yeah. That's great. It's great. Yeah. But
Well, I mean, that whole solo made to young kids, that made, wanting to play guitar.
oh yeah.
It made it sexy, right? It's like, oh yeah, I want to do that. I want to be like just like him.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that definitely launched a lot of
It's like
guitar.
if Jimmy Page didn't grab you early in the decade, or maybe you were a little bit too young, Ace got you later on.
That's yeah, because I'm my age, I'm too young for Jimmy. When I was coming up, it was Ace. And then you go back and then you start listening to the Jimmies and everybody else, right? But yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
My number two, I'm going to go to the Hotter Than Hell album, Strange Ways.
Oh yeah.
I mean, probably one of his most unique solos, I think. I don't think there's anything else in the Kiss catalog quite like it. He's got, what is he using, a phaser or a flanger on that solo?
I've asked a few people, what the hell is that? And I've heard flanger.
Yeah, probably is, right?
But it's yeah, like that's a crazy tone. It is.
It's
But
got this whole like backwards feel to it, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just like
yeah.
undulating and squeezing and just like, and again, it's not like he's playing a shit ton of notes, but it's just this, it just sounds awesome. And
Yeah.
hitting that string, really hard. And it's just like, it's got this liquid, it's just amazing. He's never did anything else like it. I would have loved to have heard more like that, because that's just, it fits right in that song so
Oh
well.
yeah. And speaking of that song, you're talking about underrated songs. That's a song that should have been played live. I mean, that's just as heavy as any Black Sabbath song. I mean, that song is phenomenal. I love it.
It's a great,
Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, it's got this great Peter vocal, and then you got Gene on the chorus sounding great. I mean, everything about that song just absolute killer.
Yeah, no, it's great. And you
Dark and
stole my
heavy.
thunder because that's my number one. That's my number one. It's like there's nothing better than the Strange Way solo. For all the reasons that you said, it fits the song. It's that crazy effect, and all the runs that he's doing. It's just it's like I can listen to that solo 1,000 times, and it's perfection. You know what I mean? It just works beautifully. The phrasing, the note choice, that sound. I mean, that is, and he even recognizes it himself. I've seen interviews recently where I guess people have told him enough that he recognizes his next to Shock Me. That's probably his most well known solo. But yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, definitely cool. Well, my number one, you've already mentioned, I think was your number three, Deuce from the Alive album. I mean, it's just so explosive, and he's throwing all sorts of things out there, and he gets his for the Alive record, when you lead off with a song like Deuce, which is a kicking song anyway, and then you got all this crazy Ace Frehley solos and all these great bends. It's just like, it's off the charts, so good. And it's amazing like how much not only Ace, but how much the band can say in that, what, 3.5 minutes? Is Deuce even that long? Three
Yeah,
songs?
something like that. It's short.
I mean, just amazing, and it's always been one of my favorite Kiss songs, and I just love his playing in that. Again, another one of those songs that just, you want to know what Ace Frehley is all about, go listen to Deuce on the Alive record.
Yeah, it's and there's a lot of Kiss songs that I've heard too many times that I never need to hear again, like I Love It Loud. But I've seen them play Deuce a million times. I can listen to Deuce a million times. That song never gets tired, at least for me, because they open a lot of tours with that song, and it always and it's the lyrics make absolutely no sense, but the attitude, right? And the aggression and just the riff and it. Yeah, I mean, Deuce is, if no one's ever heard Kiss before, it's like you put on Deuce. You know, that would be a great introduction.
Yeah, it's got all the energy, all the drive, and it's damn heavy, right? And a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
guitar.
exactly.
Yep, cool. You got any honorable mentions?
Oh yes, I do.
I
So
figured you would.
so the honorable mentions, and I want just to get away from the solos for a minute. Ace has done some incredible instrumentals, right? So I wrote a couple of them down. Now, on the Anomaly record, he did one called Genghis Khan, which is, I believe, Anton Fig is on the drums. And it's an instrumental. At some point he says Genghis Khan, but for the most part, let's just call it an instrumental. And it's really, really good. The guitar layering is really good. The playing is fantastic. It's just a really cool song. Of course, the most well-known Fractured Mirror for the 1978. Again, an really good instrumental. And the other one that he did, Fractured Quantum, which I'm trying to remember what record that's on now.
That's excellent, by the way. Wasn't that on the was that on Space Invaders?
Might have been Space Invaders. This is a more recent one.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Yeah, his instrumental stuff is really good. Solo wise, I mean, Snowblind is the one, and I feel like I was Snowblind. I don't know, I didn't pick that one, but that's another great solo. I mean, there, like you said, there's just so many of them. I mean, there's too many to mention. It's every song. When I listen to the early Kiss, you're waiting for that lead. It's the lead that, raises a song and brings it up. And we were talking about this off air, like Ace, early on, all his solos were so well composed. There were nice little songs within songs, and the stuff. I'll go as far as Unmasked. After Unmasked, then his stuff just sounded kind of piecemeal. It's like I'm just going to play a bunch of licks. They lost that compositional thing to them, which is unfortunate because he was, and back then I think he was one of the best, let's just say, guitar soloists for that time. I think and he shouldn't be ignored.
And he was also one of those guys too who obviously was very meticulous about putting and he, in a way, kind of similar to Michael Schenker, totally different players. But when they were making their albums, he put a lot of thought into creating these solos and wanted them to be perfect and fit well in those songs, but also so that they could recreate them live. Because if you listen to a lot of those old Kiss live albums, he recreates those solos really well live. If you've ever seen him live, he does a really good job of playing it very similar. Schenker is kind of the same way, as opposed to, like, say, a Richie Blackmore or Jimmy Page, who would go on tour and every night would play those solos completely different. It's almost like, yeah, I did it that way on the album, but I'm not, that's boring. I mean, Blackmore has gone on record saying that. It's like, yeah, I did it one way on the album, but to me to go out and tour and play it the exact same way as on the album every night is completely boring. I don't like doing that. Whereas a guy like Ace, it's like he spent all that time creating those solos the way they are on the record for a reason, right? Because he wants them to be memorable, want people to remember them the way they are, so he can then go and recreate those on the stage.
Yeah, they're an integral part of the song. It'd be like if Paul Stanley decided to sing different lyrics or something.
Yeah,
that's how ingrained those solos are. Yeah, and I'll totally agree with that. Totally.
Yep. And I want to mention Fractured Mirror again, because that almost made my top 10. I left it out because there's really not a lot, when you think about it, not a lot of soloing in that song, even though it's all instrumental. But man, is that such a well layered and structured piece. It's kind of progressive. It's got like this kind of like dreamy quality running through it, and all these cool chords and textures and things like that. Even it's got a little solo in it, which is really cool and really different for him. But I think that you have to kind of take that song into consideration when you're doing a show like this, because it's just a masterful piece of songwriting, I think.
Speaking of Fractured Mirror, when he comes in with, of course, a Les Paul, and he just starts hitting those power chords, holy shit. It's like, that is like the tone that you chase your entire life is, and when he hits that last chord, bond, and lets it ring out, oh my God, that's like perfection.
The sustain of a humbucker, man.
Oh my God. It's that, and it's Eddie Kramer, and it's, oh my God, just crazy tone.
I had in my honorable mentions, I put down 100,000 Years, which I think is a cool one.
Yeah, that's good.
Nothing to Lose, Got to Choose, Black Diamond. Black Diamond's kind of brief, but I think you got to mention it here too, But so many good ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So many good ones.
Ace.
It's Ace, right?
Ace, man.
It's Ace. So there you have it, everybody. Some cool choices for favorite guitar solos of Ace Frehley. So everybody knows the drill. So in the comments below, we want to hear what some of your favorite Ace Frehley guitar solos are. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. Everybody hears these things differently, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people picking stuff that we didn't even mention today, because there's so many great Ace guitar solos throughout his career. So we'll be scouring the comments to check out what everybody's putting down, and make sure you visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. And I do want to promote coming up tomorrow night. So
Yes.
Hack is on my show tonight. I'm on his show tomorrow night. So Hack, you want to talk a little bit about what they can expect for tomorrow night?
Yeah, so tomorrow night we're totally changing gears. We're going to talk Rush, and this was really tough. We're picking our top 10 Rush records. So if you think about it, that's like you're wiping out half their discography, man, and just picking 10, which is real difficult. So yeah, that'll be live tomorrow night on the Guitar Hack channel at 8 p.m. Eastern. So come join us and yeah, have some fun.
So here's the interesting thing. So for everybody who's been following me for a while, and you've obviously seen my Rush ranking the album show that I did earlier this year, the interesting thing will be to see if what I picked as my top 10, my first 10, or 1 through 10 back then, if it's exactly the same now. Because as I always say on these shows, it's like, this is my ranking today, but it could change next week. So it'll be interesting to see if my list differs tomorrow night from what I kind of figured out earlier this year. So that will be the kind of the fun part. I'm anxious to see what you pick, but I'm also anxious to see what I pick. So we'll see.
I surprised myself. I'm like, what? I can't believe that's not in there.
I know, right? Well, you know what? You can't. I always say, if you're only doing 10, you can't fit them all, right? So someone's got to go.
Can we do like 10 and like have like, 5 of them tied for like number 10?
I always say you can only pull a mulligan for number 10. So you can have a tie for number 10. That's about it. Or you can do like, well, I'll do here's my top 10 and here's my honorable mentions. And then the honorable mentions is everything else, right?
Every other record, yeah.
So everybody make sure you go over to Guitar Hack on YouTube tomorrow night at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there's a live chat going on. So in addition to us, talking about our favorite 10, you'll be able to chime in and ask questions and communicate amongst each other. So we want to see everybody over there tomorrow night. Guitar Hack, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You should have, if you've been following the Facebook page, I posted the link there this afternoon. Also on this channel, if you go into the community tab, you'll see the link to the show, but I'll post it again tomorrow morning. And I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the comments section of this video right here, so everybody can hop over there tomorrow night.
Perfect.
All right, so I want to thank Hack for coming on the show here for the first time. We'll be seeing him again, I'm sure. And stay tuned tomorrow night for my appearance over there. And thanks for watching, everybody. For Guitar Hack, I am Pete Pardo. We'll see you all later on. Take care.
Cheers.